Welcome in. New information tonight from Wichita police as the parents of a 1-year-old baby who was found not breathing at the Walmart at Pawnee and Broadway have been arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder. That incident happened back on October 31st, 2023. That's when officers responded to a call of a baby unresponsive at Walmart. The baby, later identified as Caden McCullough, was transported to a hospital where he later died. Police originally said there was no signs of foul play, but now 31-year-old Bridget McCullough and 36-year-old Wilma Presley were booked into the jail in connection to the death of Caden. Police will present the facts of the case to the Sedgwick County District Attorney at a later date. Now, 12 News has not yet reviewed the autopsy report, and we're unable to confirm the findings of the medical examiner.